Okay guys, a lot has happened since the last time that I checked in. A lot of you have messaged me asking if I was doing okay. Some of you even went as far as to sending me your phone number. Thank you for that. We have not encountered Rose since the last time. Also, we decided to move. I got a decent job in the south part of the US, and we thought that it might be a good idea to get out of there. My father did go see the priest who baptized me, and the story, it just becomes more convoluted, if you can call it that. Anyway, I got baptized in a church called Ostrog in Montenegro. Here's a picture of it. I don't believe in God in any kind of way, but this church is amazing. It was built a long time ago, when the Turkish Empire came and took over, and people took it stone by stone, where the Turks couldn't reach it. It is a magnificent building. Many people of different religions, including Muslim and Buddhist, come to the church in search of a spiritual help. It's the only place that I ever felt something more than just my non-believer reality. So, when I was 6, my dad decided to baptize me there. Neither of my parents were particularly religious, but my dad, he follows traditions, and baptizing kids is one of them. He decided that the baptism would be performed at the most famous church in the Balkans, Ostrog. You had to schedule it. The demand was so high that I was going to do it with a group of other kids as part of this group baptism. When we arrived there and disappointment awaited, for my dad, I couldn't give any less of a fuck. At the entrance of the church, the priest stopped me. You can't go in. He physically stopped me with his hand. The priests in our country wore long black robes and long beards. So I was standing there being held at arm's length by this Batman-looking dude. My dad jumped in front of me and asked what the problem was. You, my child, talking to my dad, I know you. I baptized you. I can tell. He did in fact baptize my dad 20 or so years ago before. But your son, he can't go in. And why is that? My dad asked, shocked. I really can't tell you, but it's better for all of us if you went somewhere else. But why? Son, please, leave. But remember this, don't dare not baptize him. You have to. I don't understand. Nor will you ever. Just do it. So, my dad took my hand and we walked away, not knowing what the fuck was going on. On our way home, he was trying to figure out what just happened. He thought that maybe I messed something up, like I peed behind the church or something, which did sound like my kind of thing, but I didn't. When we got home, we got a phone call. It was from the priest. He wanted us to come back, right away. It was a 35-minute ride back. My dad and I were more confused than ever. We arrived at the church and all of the previous baptisms had already been performed. It was only the 3 of us there. I decided to baptize your son despite what? My dad asked curiously. I dare not tell you, but it's important we do it fast. So we did. I walked in a circle and he went on with his prayers, spraying holy water on me. I remember getting bored as hell right before he finally finished. He told us to go away and not to come back, unless something out of the ordinary happened. My dad was just glad that we got it done. That was over 20 years ago. My dad went back there a few days ago. The priest was still alive, although retired. He still lived on the church grounds. It took some talking into, and donations, for him to speak up. I was baptized on February 13th, 1992. On the night before my baptism, the priest was handling his sheep. Back in the day, priests raised sheep and cows and they would mostly live off of that. When he saw a figure in the dark, it was strange for someone to stand out there that late at night, especially because visits were over and all of the clerical staff was already in their designated housing. "Hey, who is that?" the priest yelled. "Come, Father," a woman spoke calmly. The priest explained that from time to time he would get visits from desperate people, begging for blessing or shelter. So he went ahead to see what the woman had wanted. He said that when he came there, he saw that the woman was dressed in white, standing, not moving. She was standing among the sheep, but they formed a sort of circle around her, almost like a safe distance. The priest claimed that immediately he felt something unholy. "What do you want?" he asked in a defensive-aggressive tone. At that point, he knew it wasn't a peaceful visitor he was talking to. Tomorrow you will encounter a boy, just like any other. His name will be Milos. You won't baptize him." The priest told my father that he had performed several exorcisms, but he never was actually scared. This time, he felt unsafe. "You and your kind have no place on this holy ground." "My kind? Father? What would that be?" "You. Demons." His voice cracking with fear. She laughed. "Demons. I realize you're a man of cloth, but believing in demons? That takes a lot of faith, Father." "I want you to leave. Now." "Listen to me, you pity priest. I know who you are. I know what you think. I know you feel my strength. Deny my request, and you'll never sleep in peace again." Then she left. The rest of the story you know. He refused to baptize me and then changed his mind. Although he told my dad that he would be rather tormented by the unholy spirit than deny one of God's children a chance to connect with Jesus. He said that he had been praying for it ever since the day he baptized me. Every single night for 2 weeks after he baptized me, he said that he had seen the woman in white appear on his window. She'd be just standing there, looking at him, with head tilted. No smile, though, but only this face of anger. He'd say many prayers, but it didn't seem to affect her. Then his sheep started dying. There were no wolf marks or no signs of force, just laying there, dead. Finally, a number of exorcisms skyrocketed. He claims that this was a direct consequence of him disobeying the woman's orders. He even showed an exorcism videotape. They started filming them in the chapel around the mid-90s. To my dad. My dad says it was just unreal. Apparently a 13-year-old girl came to the chapel with her mom. Her mom was sobbing tears, begging for help. The priest started performing the ritual when the little girl started throwing stuff around. The priest called 2 young guys who came in to pray that day and asked them to hold her. She kept wanting to walk in circles, with 2 grown men holding her. And right before she fell to her knees, she said, "You shouldn't have done it, Father." She was cured. My dad had more than enough information thrown at him, but he wanted to know what this woman was. Priest said that he originally thought that it was some sort of demon, but a lack of prayer efficiency and her freedom of behavior on the holy ground was concerning. Then he thought it could be some sort of cult, witchcraft maybe. The problem is, she's been visiting him on February 13th every year. Any livestock he would have would die on that day. Any sick person coming for help to the church would get worse. A number of possessed people would skyrocket abnormally on the 13th. And at the end of the day, she would come to the window, no matter where he was. He tried talking to her many times, asking what or who she was. She never responded. She never aged. The priest was finally broken down to the point where he quit. He remained living on the grounds, but he just couldn't do the job anymore. He had lost faith. He claimed that God should have protected him. My dad says that he had been mentally unstable at this point. He was mentioning something about Morana, whatever that meant. It appears to be a goddess of death in some cultures, but I really think the man just has gone mad. I think that this whole story was just a jabber of an old man gone senile. Goddess, demons, hardly. Well, that would be the disappointing story of my baptism. I have not had any encounters with them since the last time. I'm moving away, hoping this helps. I also decided this. If I ever encounter them again, I'm gonna take the orange. I am taking the orange. I cannot go on like this. Not forever. I just can't. And that's exactly what happened. I took it. Guys, this is a very, very good story. And I'll tell you what, the book is even better. So if you like this, make sure you pick up the copy of the book. That will be linked in the description. It's like $2 or $3 worth every penny. It is very good. I really hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank my $10 and above patrons: Dan R., Paul Z., Mr. Swiston, Official Jerboa, Chaos X, JY, Pyromancer, Hayden MH, Ethan A., Dark Side of the Bear, and all the $5 ones listed in the description. If you want to be part of this, go to the Patreon down below. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, there might be a little something about this book popping up on Patreon. If you want to see that, make sure you go over there.